Hello, welcome to Falcon Blues TV. And for the start of the season, we've decided we're going to be going to every single Premier League team and getting their thoughts, match day previews, and get as much information and thoughts and predictions as the season goes on. So our first guest for the start of the Premier League season is Sammy James from the Fulhamish Podcast. Sammy, nice one for joining us today. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Excited about the start of the Premier League? I know I am.
Yeah, I can imagine that. No, I'm actually excited for there to be some football to talk about, not will all our team leave for Saudi Arabia. So I'm actually just looking forward to seeing 11 men on the pitch try and kick a ball around and maybe discuss that rather than the never-ending will they leave sagas that has just been relentless this summer. Yeah. For us, I've never quite experienced a summer where you're not looking at the players coming in. You're literally just worrying about the players that might leave. So it's been a long one, and it feels like a welcome return.
Yeah, that sounds very typical of Everton. That's like always a will they, won't they move, and then it's the last day of the transfer window and they've gone for 30 million and you've got no time to spend it, and that just sums up Everton every transfer window really. I know I said I'm excited about it starting again. It's excitement with trepidation. I'm going into 2 seasons on the spin of relegation battle, but something's got to change with Everton. It really, really does. And hopefully, even if we can finish mid-table, I think that'd be a decent return for Everton, especially given the last couple of seasons and the problems we've had with managers and everything else. But you finished 10th last season. Do you think, were you disappointed in that? Because for the majority of the season, you were hovering around 6th, 7th. Will you get into Europe? Won't you get into Europe? I suppose you sort of fell off a little bit towards the end. Was that, were you disappointed, or with the fact that you're back in the Premier League that's actually a good return this season, considering where we were and where everyone else has struggled?
Yeah, definitely the latter. I mean, obviously, I can only speak for myself, but I think the majority of Fulham fans would agree with me that, it was lovely to be in 6th and 7th, and it was really exciting. And there was a genuine moment about February where I thought, there's no reason why we can't finish in the European places. I think when we went away to Brighton and won there, and you were starting to wonder, well, it is really opening up for us. But ultimately, there was always that worry as well that if we actually finished in Europe, is this squad ready? Because I don't think we were ready for Europe. You really do need a good squad in order to cope with all the Thursday, Sundays. Now, I think Fulham weren't ready. We would have obviously had a great time and we'd have given it a good fist. But if I'm already worried enough about this season. I think if we had the extra pressure of then trying to play on Thursdays, that would have potentially tipped us over the edge. So no, it was definitely the temps are a great place to finish. We finished in the top 10. By the end, it was just like, can we finish above Chelsea? That would be awesome. And that was really fun that we did. Finishing the top 10 was just something really special. You got to remember that for Fulham, we had 6 years of changing divisions: Championship, Premier League, Championship, Premier League, Championship. And we just wanted to stay for at least one season. So the fact that we did that, we were so comfortable. There was no drama at the end. We could kind of watch the relegation battle and just with our popcorn and see who goes down. That was something really special. So yeah, missing out on Europe, not that bothered.
Not the end of the world. That's it. I think now when you're staying in the league and your position, it's give you that little bit of a springboard to what you're capable of, I suppose, and what you've got coming down the line and what to expect for next season. But obviously with Fulham at the moment, there's been loads of rumblings. You mentioned it before about the Saudi side of things and the interest. We had Marco Silva during a period of Everton's time where it was probably too soon to have him as Everton manager. Nice guy, but probably not ready. A bit like Frank Lampard, really. Nice guy, but probably not suited to being a manager for Everton. But he's done absolute wonders for us, and I think if we'd have stayed injury free towards Silva's last few games, I think he'd have still be not maybe still being in charge, but I don't think he'd have been sacked in those terms. I think Everton's loss was Fulham's gain, of course. So when you see that he's being linked with £40 million moves to Saudi Arabia and then rejecting it, that's got to fill you with a bit more confidence, given how well you did last season.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously we've had three players / managers linked with Saudi. It's been Mitrovic, it's been Marco, it's been Willian. Now Mitrovic still could go. We don't know. It seems to be off for now, but there's a long time left. Marco is linked strongly, and I took a bit of a punt on Twitter. I remember I said he's not. I don't think he'll go. I just said it makes no sense for Marco Silva to leave Saudi Arabia apart from the money. And I did kind of caveat it. Look, ultimately, if he just saw that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity to get wealthy beyond his wildest dreams, you can't necessarily blame someone for taking that decision. But from a career perspective, it made no sense for Marco to go. He's building something. And I've always said that Marco, some managers might manage Fulham and they might think that this is the greatest job. I'd stay here forever. Never got that impression with Marco. I think he had a big rebuilding job to do with his image after Everton. The way he left Watford for Everton and then it didn't work at Everton, he was damaged goods, let's be honest, certainly from a Premier League point of view. So Fulham was his reputation rebuilder. It's worked wonders up till now because we stomped the Championship and then we did really well last year. But he hasn't fully solidified his reputation. Now, another successful year at Fulham this year, and I think he will have. I think he'll have clearly proven that he's a Premier League quality manager, and any top 8 clubs, if you're looking for a new gaffer come next summer, I'm your man. And I would kind of respect Marco if he did that, or if he went and took something like the PSG job, could see that happening. But to move to Saudi now would kind of just confirm what everyone suspected, that you're a bit of a mercenary and you just look for the next kind of the grass is greener. And so I never thought he was actually going to go to Saudi because I felt like I can see where Marco's going, and his dream one day is clearly to win the Champions League or to play, in a title race in a top league. And he could do that if he stays at Fulham and does well. Going to Saudi would put him another 2 steps back along the road that he's kind of clawed back to get. So yeah, and what you said about Everton's losses Fulham's game, 100%. I think Fulham have always been that kind of club that looks at players or managers who have a point to prove. Come to Fulham, it's a nice club. You can restore your reputation. And so yeah, I think he's a wonderful manager. And obviously, Everton, it's a difficult club, but you look at obviously the managers since, and you'll know much better than me. I don't actually think he did that bad a job, considering.
No, that's it. That's what I'm saying. Like the injuries that he had towards the end of that season, he lost to Drissagay in the January window. We didn't really invest in it. Decore got injured. We had players just injuries, suspensions, and nothing went right for him towards the end of his tenure, really. And it was a bit of a. It was a disappointment that the fact that we're going to have to change manager again. We ended up with Ronald Koeman and then Ancelotti, and then it's just gone downhill from there, But I just think that's that period where there was some good football, but it just needed to be a little bit better. And I think he just lacked the will and maybe the determination. And like you said, he's gone to Fulham, rebuilt himself a little bit there, and built his reputation back. Like you said, he blew through the Championship, and then he's been pretty much, you could say, in comparison to Everton and most clubs down there, he's been a massive success for you. So yeah, I think with Silva, it was just the wrong place at the right time for us with Everton.
Yeah, 100%. That's how I see it. I think he left Watford too soon, let's be honest. And I think that he'll look back in hindsight and think, I should have stuck it out at Watford. I was doing a good job. And jobs like Everton and Spurs and Newcastle and Villa come up fairly regularly. You need to move when the time's right and not just move at the first opportunity of a big club. I think, maybe Graham Potter learned that lesson as well. It was a little bit too soon to leave Brighton for a club like Chelsea. Another big club would have come calling. And so I think it's all about timing, and he got the timing when we're joining Everton.
Yeah, and with the Saudi rumblings again, as you mentioned Mitrovic there, but you also mentioned Willian, who's literally just signed a new contract. So it's all about. I think it's all about chasing the money for it. There's no glory in this league at the moment, unless you take literally everyone out of the European leagues and put them in this Saudi league. There's no glory. There's no one's. I'm personally not going to watch it because I'm not getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning to watch it.
Yeah.
But it all just seems like it's just a pardon me language, just a dick swinging exercise, a money exercise of like, well, who's got the most money and who can offer the most money for this player. And it almost seems like it's probably not going to go the way the Chinese league does, but it's got that feel about it of just literally just throwing money at whatever and hopefully something sticks. But the Mitrovic one and Willian, and like we said about like Mitrovic there, he's basically just refusing to play for Fulham now, is he?
So I think the situation has changed slightly. He said that he didn't want to play for Fulham ever again, but I still don't believe that he actually said that. I think that was agent talk. He's got a notorious agent who has a track record of, you know, being a bit of a dick on behalf of his client to get the move. He was Lewandowski's agent as well, who forced that move to Barca from Bayern and stuff. So he's got a history for, he wouldn't think twice about going in the press and just saying like something like that on Mitro's behalf. I mean, Mitro played a friendly for us on Saturday. He came off the bench. He also played a behind closed doors friendly on Friday, and he played 60 minutes in that. So Mitrovic will be in the squad this weekend. I don't think he'll start, but he will be in the squad, and I am almost certain he'll come on against Everton. That doesn't mean he necessarily won't leave, but it looks like the Al Hilal offer is off the table. Willian's definitely said he's staying, so that's kind of all over. It was weird how the offer suddenly came 2 weeks after he signed a contract, and Al Shabab could have got him 3 weeks ago, and I think he actually might have been tempted. I think Willian would have gone. It's weird why Al Shabab only suddenly seemed to discover that he exists. Whereas if they'd have moved a month earlier, they probably would have got him. So who knows? I get the whole Saudi move. If you are someone like Willian's age and you're like, well, look, this is my final few years in football and I can go earn tons of money. Same for, you know, I understand the Henderson move, the Firmino move. Look, I mean, Henderson obviously has crucified his PR and his image, but I understand it why he's gone. Mitro I never got, because Mitro's 28. He's got so much left to offer. I think he could play at a higher level than Fulham. I think he could play in the Champions League, to be honest. I think he'd be an asset to most clubs. Whether he'd be a starter is another question. So I don't, but Mitro has obviously had his head turned by this money, and the money on offer is just crazy money. And, you know, he probably earns about 100k a week at Fulham, but you consider that he gets taxed about 50% of that. So what, it's about 50k. I'm not saying it's nothing, but you know what I mean? And then he's going to go south and 400k tax free. It's basically an 8-time salary increase. I mean, we'd all think about it, right? If it was the same situation.
That's it. And the weather's not that great in the UK at the minute. So that's probably one of the major reasons to decide to leave in some people's cases. With Everton have always had like a bit of a strong link with Fulham, with ex-players and things like, you know, McBride, Mark Pembridge, Thomas Radzinski, Ollie Decor. And now there's moves for Fulham looking at Diamari Gray. Yeah. Well, Evertonians have got this we think he's more like a hot and cold player. He's probably like a 1 in 5, 1 in 6 kind of player. Come up with a bit of magic every so often, but doesn't do it enough. But obviously, Silva and Fulham are interested in him. Would you take him as well?
I'd take him. So we're kind of, at the moment, it seems like Fulham are toying up whether to go for Callum Hudson-Odoi or Diamari Gray. Seems to be our new strategy at the moment, that we basically identify a position that we want, find 2 players that we like, and then play them off each other to each clubs. We did the same with Calvin Bassey, but we also said that we were potentially going for Mohamed Salisu. Seems to be just quite a basic negotiation tactic of, well, if you don't give us what we want, we're just going to go get the other guy. I think it seems like Callum Hudson-Odoi is slightly more, it feels more likely than Diamari Gray. I think because I think there's a bit more potential to Callum Hudson-Odoi, whereas we've kind of seen what Diamari Gray can and can't do. I'd be happy with Diamari Gray. I think that you only have to look at some of his goals that he scored for you guys, some of the scorchers over the years, and he's got a beating of a man. One of his actually breakthrough games for Birmingham was against Fulham back when he was... he must have only been 17, and Birmingham beat us 5-2 at the Cottage. And this young kid called Diamari Gray that none of us had heard of absolutely tore us a new one. So we've always kind of long been aware of Diamari and his qualities. I'd be happy with him. I think I'd slightly prefer Hudson-Odoi because it feels like there's a bit more unearthed potential there. And potentially, you know, there's a real world-class player there if if treated correctly. Whereas I think you kind of know what you're getting with Diamari Gray. He's capable of amazing games. He's also capable of some quite poor games. And so I'd be happy with him, but also not like, I don't feel like we need to move mountains to get him.
Yeah. I think with Hudson-Odoi as well, it's not a massive move either, is it? But I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, he's still London based.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not like he's having to uproot everything and move. You know, he can stay where he is, kind of thing. I think we need to sell, but only if we've got someone in place. So I think if you offered like 12 million for Diamari Gray, I think we bite your hands off as long as we've got someone else coming in swiftly behind him. But he apparently he's not trained for like 3 or 4 days at Everton because he wants this move to Fulham, which I just think is bizarre why players do that. It's like, well, you might as well train and keep fit and get, I mean, you aren't playing first team football, that's fine. You can still train with your mates and that. Yeah. You're only having a kickabout at the end of the day at training. So it's a weird one. I don't understand the not showing up for training thing. I mean, Anthony Gordon did it at the start of January to get his move to Newcastle. It's like, mate, just play. Yeah. You're not in front of the fans here or anything like that. There's not 50,000 fans outside the ground, outside training, telling you you're a knobhead. We'll tell you that on social media. But it's like, well, you might as well train with players, train with professionals, because they're all going to be professional at the end of the day. So, but I think if we were to be offered 10, 15 million for Diamari Gray, I think we'd snap their hands off as long as someone's coming in behind them.
Yeah, I mean, looks like we'll be able to get Callum Hudson-Odoi. Chelsea want 8. So I think the fact that we might be able to get Callum Hudson-Odoi for less money than it would cost us to get Diamari Gray, plus there won't be a chain because Chelsea don't need a replacement for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Yeah, it feels like an easier deal to get over the line. Hence why I think that one's more likely, but you never know. Might buy both. I don't think we will.
No. Well, okay, so I'll move it on now because I did say 15 minutes to you, just 17, but
that's all right, don't worry.
So last season we finished 0-0 at Craven Cottage, and at Goodison Park we got absolutely snotted 3-1, which was something like, I did write this down. You were coming off the back of 5 losses in a row, and then you come to Everton, and everyone was like, Everton should win this at a canter, and shouldn't be a problem. It's like, welcome to Everton. And I think that was your second win in about 18 or 20 games at Goodison. So do you think you can repeat it this weekend?
I am reasonably confident, only because I've seen the problems with Tarkowski. Don't know if he's going to play. Obviously, seen that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is injured as well. You've not made that many signings. And Fulham, for all the rumours, have barely got weaker. The only player of note that we've really lost is Manor Solomon, who didn't really play that much last year. Mitrovic, we don't know if Mitrovic will start. He might be a bit unfit. We've got injury problems. Like João Palhinha probably won't play. Tom Cairney probably won't play. Mitrovic probably won't start. So this isn't a full strength Fulham, but also Mitrovic didn't play the game that day either. It was the unlikely hero Dan James, and basically his only good game for us. He
ran the show that day, and we were just watching it going, what the hell is going on? And even Anthony Robinson as well, another ex-Evertonian.
Yeah, well, at least Anthony is a consistent player, and actually but Dan James was a complete surprise to all of us. So yeah, I'm going into the game reasonably confident. I think that there's potentially still a bit of a hangover, but look, Goodison Park's always a tough place to go. There's going to be a bit of a new season optimism, and I'm certainly not expecting it to be 3 points. It does seem like the Goodison Park curse is over. 2 consecutive wins after never winning at Goodison, I think, in the league. So the Goodison Park curse is over just before you knock it down. I think that Fulham can win. I still think, though, if you offered me a draw right now, it would be a solid start to the season. Draw away from home, I'd be fine with that, but I see no reason why Fulham can't go there and get a result. We are just as strong, if not stronger, than we were last year, and Everton have had a bit of a tumultuous summer. So it seems ripe for me that Fulham should go there and at least make a very good fist of it.
But you brought in Jimenez as well, didn't you?
Yeah, Jimenez and Bassi are our 2 main signings that we've brought in. Both looked brilliant on Saturday in our friendly win over Hoffenheim. Both scored as well. So yeah, it looks good. Obviously, Jimenez has had a really bad season at Wolves, but I don't know. Just looks like he's been given a bit of a lease of life. I think he'll start on Saturday, as will Bassi, and then you'll probably see Mitrovic come off the bench if we need a couple of goals.
I think Jimenez has always caused Everton trouble, even when he was having a poor run of form. You know, not even just last season, but like in previous seasons when he's been at Wolves, he's always been. He's just been there and thereabouts and just created a nuisance for himself against Everton. So I think if you've got him in the side, I think it's Tarkowski and whoever's got alongside him. If it's, you know, Jared Branthwaite or it's Ben Godfrey or whoever, Michael Keane, they're going to have to be on the game on Saturday. But I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to just getting back into the season, getting back into the swing of going back to Goodison. And it could be, you know, potentially one of our last at Goodison Park. So every game is get as much memory in it as you can before the big move to Bramley Moor and then in sometime next season. But yeah, I think for the score prediction, then I would take a draw myself just because it would just settle a lot of nerves, given that we've barely made any signs of making a forward decision. If Yusuf Dimitri comes in, I don't think he'll be in before Saturday. We've only brought in Ashley Young and Arnaud Danjuma from Villarreal, but it was more a case of we still need that attacking sense, but we also need a centre half. I think that's gone under the radar a little bit. You know, losing Connor Cody, losing Yerry Mina, we still need that stability because I don't think Michael Keane offers it. Which is why I'm saying that if Jimenez is playing, whoever's playing alongside Tarkowski has got to be on it on Saturday. So yeah, the same with me. I'd probably take a draw just as a good start, but I can see us just nicking it. I don't know why. I think that's probably just me being an optimist and being an Evertonian and just throwing anything in and hoping something sticks. But yeah, I'll go for a 1-0, and it'll be a cagey 1-0, which I think will sum up Everton for the entire season.
See, I actually think this could have a lot of goals in it. I think both of us are a bit shaky at the back. I don't think we've looked perfect defensively. You've obviously got problems at the back, but we've been looking like we've got goals in us. So I actually think I'm going to go for a 3-2 Fulham. I think it could be a really entertaining one. I'm confident that I feel like Fulham will definitely show up and get a couple of goals. I just can't see us keeping a clean sheet because it doesn't. Our defense doesn't look too gelled at the moment. So yeah, I'll go for an entertaining opening day 3-2 win, first on match of the day.
Good stuff. I like first on match of the day. I'll take that as well. But as long as it's an Everton win, of course. Yeah. Sammy, okay, we'll wrap this up because this has been brilliant. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to come and have a chat with us. If you want to chat or you want to catch up on the Fulhamish podcast, we can find that on Spotify, on iTunes.
Podcast everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and yeah, we'll be doing our season preview later this week, making foolish predictions about how Fulham will get on this year.
I think that's what we need to do. I think we just need to go down the whole league and just go, yeah, that game's 3-0. Let's go. We're getting snotted that game. Yeah. And then we'll play Brighton away and we'll just go, we can't decide on what kind of score this is going to be. What Everton side is going to turn up on what Brighton side is going to turn up that day. But Sammy, hopefully, I'll try and catch up with you again before the away leg or the away game rather at Craven Cottage. That'd be really good if you can come on.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay, so with that, Sammy, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to Falcon Blues TV, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you know, the usual stuff. Until then, Sammy, thank you very much.
All right.
Please, Colin Chong, catch us in a bit.